yet, but I'm starting a podcast.
Sweet.
Yeah, podcast is happening. So I just appreciate you guys coming out because this got rained out. But, like you guys are like mean a lot to me. Okay, so let's get started. Put on my glasses so I can keep up with my notes.
I want to hear about also the stadium. She got to go on a tour of the
I
stadium.
did get to go to the stadium. So, you saw on the schedule we are talking about Clinch Avenue, but I want to get us just in context. Most of us here know that Knoxville was founded in 1791, and this is the original plan of Knoxville. So 1791 or 1792, James White, his son-in-law, they map it out, they make a plan, and then they do their first addition to it, and you can see that is 1795. First edition is 1795. And it includes Clinch Avenue. There were different street names that's interesting to me, but we are just on the edge of it, and you can read those.
Did they cut the streets in first? Is that what you're saying, or?
They made a plan, they surveyed it, and then they did auction for lots. And it doesn't show it on here, but there were reservation lots, like for courthouse and for the university, which was Blunt College then. There was
First Pres.
yes, First Pres had a reservation.
Oh, really?
Courthouse, I think.
Courthouse, I think I
Sorry,
said.
I'm being.
That's okay. No, all the help I can get. I'm a little out of my element because usually I'm walking around and this is different. So.
You can walk around.
All right, so let's kind of talk about what happened. And I'm just, we're trying to get to Clinch Avenue and get down to the history, but let's kind of talk about just some more context, some housekeeping context. For the next 100 years, Knoxville was a fairly compact city. You have to think about how people are getting around. Does anybody have any suggestions? And we do this all the time.
Horse.
On feet.
Oh.
On feet. You're getting around on feet, right? For the next 100 years. Now, how are people getting in and out of town?
They're probably not.
The river.
Well, river and roads. I just simplified this, but river and roads for the next 50 years, and then railroad comes to town middle of the 19th century.
How many roads were coming into Knoxville? Or
Well, okay, so the way cities worked initially were like, think radial centers. So you have the pikes, like Castle Pike, Dandridge Avenue, which is the radial center. I call them like farm to city roads. And some of those we still use. Kingston Pike, right?
So
Well, when we did-
Kingston and Knoxville are contemporaneous?
Yeah, and so, and so the Kingston Pike was surveyed in 1791 about the time of this plan, or not, around the time of this plan. Or maybe it was 1795, but right around in here, Kingston Pike was surveyed,
So
right?
all of those.
These questions are making me hot.
Oh, Kingston Pike, Castle Pike, things like that, Asheville Highway, things like that, are they feeder roads that came just to Knoxville, basically?
So initially it was farm to city roads, because you have farmers, right? And they're pretty muddy and hard to.
Island Home, remember, it was a big old, and they had streetcars that came in.
That's a little later. So
Okay.
first it starts with the radial centers, and you're just getting farmers into town, and then you got to get towns connected.
I would say the main roads were probably Kingston Pike originally, probably Broad Street, that went up into Fountain City, because there was like a fort up there, I think, and stuff, and there's that school, Holbrook and Normal, and then they started branching off, I think. Maybe Magnolia too.
To Asheville, there was a big road from Virginia that was leading into Knoxville. So different roads are important at different times.
And a lot of times roads will be like Old Kingston Pike, or Old Marable Pike, and a lot of those were like originally like.
Well, like she's talking about too, that Martin Luther King was the original.
Which was then called McCalla,
McCall Avenue, yeah.
yeah. And then it was MLK.
And then they built Magnolia later.
Well, Magnolia was there, but
But
they
it was,
continued Magnolia out and widened it in the middle of the 20th century. But the streetcar went down Magnolia.
Yeah.
But the car road is McCalla, which is now
Yeah.
MLK.
Did they file this plan with the state of Tennessee, or how did that? Well,
I don't know where they would have registered it. That's a
Well,
good
the state of
question.
Tennessee wasn't a state until 1794,
Right.
and this is 1791,
So would that have been with the state of
Is it
Franklin?
like a territorial
No, just in
government?
town.
Yeah,
Oh, you're good.
I know I'm being annoying also.
I know.
So was this state of Franklin then?
Oh, you're helping. Are you kidding? This is a discussion.
So was this,
I'm used to the discussion format and the interesting
Remember, she's
questions.
playing sick too.
I know, on the corner shit.
Well, so you get out of the lot when you just.
I don't have COVID, I swear.
Just scared people. All right. Okay, so this is, we've talked about Sanborn fire insurance maps before. This is an 1884 map, right? So let's do a little more context because we're getting close to the turn of the century, and I just want to make the point that neighborhoods like Old North Knoxville and Fourth and Gill, which weren't called that then, were newer neighborhoods around the turn of the century, and Fort Sanders was another example, but not a lot of it remains. Mechanicsville was a little bit older industrial neighborhood, but it was also at the edge of town at that time. And a lot of places where people lived by the end of the 19th century have been replaced by interstate infrastructure around town. Right, so like the east side of downtown, the north side of downtown, and many homes where people lived around that time were in town, and that's what I want you to kind of see. Okay, so Clinch Avenue is up at the top, and you see the U.S. Customs House. That's about where we're at now.
Is
And
it
then
in the middle, upper?
Middle one, upper left.
very center.
Oh,
See
the
it?
number 12?
I don't know that there's a
In
12
the
on it.
middle, there's some numbers, that's all this
Oh.
bad can
Number
see.
11.
11.
11, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
12 is the next block over.
Okay.
You need your laser pointer.
I need my laser pointer. I don't even know if I have a laser pointer. So, see dwellings here, those are houses. In the block that is 12, those are houses, and then you see 2 churches. We're gonna talk about those. And then, what do the X's represent? This is a local or quiz question.
Is this your
Gables.
horse?
This is the horses. I always try to find horses in real estate agents in all the presentations. But look where, these are the parking lots. Look where there's a lot of them in town.
we could use some more of those.
The U.S. Customs is the post
Oh, I had
office
the post office.
until 1933. Right, they built the post office on Main Street, which we'll talk about in the local lore, the Main Street local lore, we'll talk about that. So, by the 1920 decade, private cars, automobiles became more attainable and common, and the proliferation of that mode, led to related road improvements and far-flung suburban development and more parking lots downtown. But before the automobile, these were the parking lots, the horses. We're still getting around on feet to that extent. All right.
On this map, just most of a big portion of the development stuff seems to be mainly right on Gay Street in this one.
That's your commercial street.
And especially on the east side of Gay Street. All 3 of those, 4, 9, and 10 are pretty right up against Gay Street are full. On the other side, it's just 11 and 8.
Can you all read?
5 and 2 doesn't even really have anything, and 5's got a few places on Gay Street, but there's a gap too.
Are you able to zoom in on that or not?
I don't think I can zoom in, and it's kind of blurry,
Okay.
even up here. So, we're gonna talk about this on the main street, but I want you guys, I just think this is cool, and it's, since we're talking about the whole map. What do you guys notice about the courthouse,
In the middle of the block.
right? So in 1884, the courthouse was not, this is where the courthouse is now.
Right.
In 1884, it was across the street.
So where Whittle is now?
Yep.
Yep. So the U.S. Customs House, which was also the post office, was built in 1874, and the building served as the post office until 1933, when the Main Street Post Office was built, and that building, that Main Street office is still there. So residential, if you could read that, it just says detached dwellings. You know, this side of town is residential for the most part, but notice the churches there. There, and then I'm gonna show you the top of the block. That's, should clear up. I think that's an internet problem.
It's still loading.
It's still loading. Cause it wasn't blurry. Yeah, it's an internet problem. We'll give it a minute.
Is that the loading?
I mean, that's what I think. It's toying with me.
Yeah, that's definitely a loading problem. I don't know what is happening.
I usually yell at it.
Just smack it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll start talking and it'll start. So if you could see that, I can't even see. Here's the Market House, Market Square.
Yeah.
You can kind of make that out, right?
Yeah.
So where Gay is the wide one.
On the right.
Yeah, that's Gay.
That's Gay, okay.
And then this is Clinch down here now, right? So if you can kind of get oriented, there's a building that you can kind of make out right here. Those two churches on the last, let's see if it'll go back. Those two churches, there's a church across the street, and then there's those two churches. The church across the street on the fuzzy, I don't know why that is not working. On the fuzzy one is the Second Presbyterian Church. So, do we remember where, all know where First Presbyterian Church is?
It's closer to the Coliseum, right?
Yeah, on the back side of the state. So, Second Presbyterian split from First Presbyterian and organized in 1818. And officially, they were arguing over the issue of pew rental, but allegedly it was over slavery. The church occupied portions of the block I would show you, this block here, until 1957 when it moved to Kingston Pike. The building on the map was built and dedicated in 1860. It was occupied by the Union Army during the war. So the other thing, this is the Arnstein building here, right? So Market Square, we're over here. And if you could read that, it would say Old Cemetery.
So there's
an
people buried
old
there?
Cemetery under the Arnstein building.
Oh.
And I don't know, that's a good mystery. I don't know when that was.
I wonder how deep that building went.
Well,
Yeah.
deeper than a cemetery.
Deeper than 6 feet.
Yeah.
Why did you choose Clinch Avenue? What's significant about Clinch Avenue as a focal point for?
So if you look at all the local lures, they're just all streets downtown this year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right, so let's go back to the not fuzzy.
Ooh, I like that.
Isn't that nicer?
Not fuzzy, yeah.
Not fuzzy. Okay, so
Make
we're-
t-shirts.
right. So those are two Methodist churches. I thought this was interesting. So the two Methodist churches across the street from Second Presbyterian are marked. Can you see that they're marked north and south? The north one's on the north and the south one is south. The North and South congregations had their roots in the division of the Methodist Episcopal Church over slavery. The Holston Conference, which is our conference, split in the early 1860s. The two factions remained split until 1939. The First Methodist Episcopal Church later moved down on the corner of Clinch Avenue and Locust, and I'll show you that on a later map, on the 1903 Sanborn map. And that became Church Street Methodist, which is now on Henley Street.
So they were north or south?
They moved into Church Street Methodist. Was
Right.
on Church Street.
So Church Street's the one across from the Brian Fitton House.
Church Street's
Right.
there. Yeah, Church Street.
On Henley.
Church Street Methodist
It
is
is
on
across
Henley
from
Street.
Brian.
Yes.
Right.
That big, nice church.
Yes.
And originally it was there.
Oh,
And why it's called north and south is just, I think it's because one of them faced north and one of them faced south on opposite blocks.
So it wasn't their political
I don't think so.
orientation.
It split over slavery, so I don't know if
If the north and south really had anything to do with it.
South, but yeah, yeah, and then
The Methodist Church split over slavery also?
yeah, and the Holston Conference here split in the 1860s, in the early 1860s.
So both the Presbyterians and the Methodists had a problem with
Two
slavery.
big buildings.
Interesting.
Jennifer,
Yes,
I'll get straight now. Okay, so are the Methodist churches the two big buildings in those blocks?
on 12.
Across from each other?
Yeah. So
So
one
then
of them
the
faces.
The two in the top picture, is that the two Presbyterian churches next door to each other?
The Presbyterian church is across the street on Clinch Avenue,
On over, oh, okay.
in the fuzzy part.
They're off the map.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're in the fuzzy map.
They're in the fuzzy. Oh, yes. Oh, here we go. All of us.
The original pointer. The original pointer.
Oh, that's the post office.
That's us.
That's New
That's the north.
South Methodist Church. That's North Methodist Church.
What about that building in the corner
This is
with the
the
sort of
bijou.
semicirculars?
That's a dwelling.
Oh,
That
that's
is
a
right
private
here?
house?
Yeah, that's a
Yes.
house, but it's an important house.
That
It's
looks
gonna become
beautiful.
something later that we're interested in.
Is that where the preachers lived?
No,
Okay.
it will be, yeah. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about what is there now. What's in that block right now? It's the next block. So there is the old bank building.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer,
Yes.
question, the Presbyterian church that has a graveyard?
Is first.
Is first.
How come they can't have their graveyard if they didn't?
Well, the whole building's gone and the Arnstein building's on their graveyard.
Oh, really?
Okay. So do y'all kind of know where you're at now?
Yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know where the,
Yeah.
okay.
We're at the corner of Church and Gay.
All right, so then we have fuzzy map, which doesn't
Not
mean,
fuzz, let's
Let me
mention
see
not
if I
fuzz.
can. So this is all Market Square.
this is market, this is where,
This is First Presbyterian Church, and this is actually, is it the Vendome or is it the first?
it's the
First.
chapel.
Okay, yeah, so I think that was the first one.
Yeah, and then they
That's
did
the second
iterations,
one.
yeah,
That was the graveyard, and Arnstein building is right there.
yeah. And the Arnstein is there, we're right here. This was they occupied a lot of parts of this.
Yeah. Miller's building is, well, I don't think it's there yet, but Miller's building is right here.
I don't know why that's.
You know what's funny is it's not showing up fuzzy on my phone, on my video.
Oh,
Oh, am I in the way? Sorry.
No, you're
It's
fine.
not, maybe it's a ghost.
It's showing up clear on my phone. It's weird.
oh, Jennifer, it does. Something's weird.
It's fuzzy on here.
Did you not trust me? You had to verify it yourself.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so I'm gonna skip to some nice pictures.
Ronald Reagan
Okay,
thing.
let's look at some pictures.
No,
How's
it is
that?
right here.
Okay. Okay, so, we talked about the churches, and then let's talk about what we're seeing here. All right,
That's
so,
an airplane.
you see an airplane
It's
somewhere?
a bomber airplane, it's gonna go down Gay Street.
What are you talking about? On the right?
All right, so, if I was getting you oriented, oh, where's the pointer? I said that the first, or the second Presbyterian was on the block that's just there. Can you all see that turret right there?
Yeah.
So that was a hotel called the Vendome Hotel. And it shared the block with First Presbyterian. And it was kind of amazing. There's not too many pictures of it, but if you guys Google Vendome, you can see some drawings and things of it. But it was a European style hotel. You can see it right there too. That's the edge of it. So Second Pres is just on the other side.
What made it European style?
Well, I thought it was just stylish, but also it turns out the difference between a European plan and an American plan hotel is that the European plan hotel is just including room rates, and the American plan hotel at that time also had meals, food. Yeah.
Continental breakfast.
Yeah. That building is the ACUP building. What else
There's a
we got?
picture, Jennifer, on the KnoxvilleHistoryProject.org of the, Vendome, it calls them the Vendome Apartments.
Yeah, it eventually became apartments.
And it's amazing, what happened to it?
It was torn down, and it is,
What is it? What is it? The State Street Garage today?
it's a parking lot over there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's the parking lot. Do you know where the French Cafe is? Down the street here? It would have been right across the Vendome, named for the square in Paris, is a parking lot across from a French restaurant now.
Some justice to the history.
I can't believe how fuzzy these is. It's terrible.
They look
All right.
great on my phone though.
So they're not on your phone.
They look great on my phone.
It's gonna be all around, show everybody your.
Y'all can watch it later on YouTube.
Yeah. Okay, so what is over here? What do we know over here? This park, Crutch Park.
Crooch, is it Crooch or is it
Park.
Crutch?
Crutch Park. Thanks for the correction.
No,
That's what was there.
that was
That's
there?
what's missing. from
Really?
Crutch. Yeah. That was called the
Three-
Plaza Block.
Which
Three
of those
stories?
streets is Clinch?
Clinch was right here.
Yep.
Right, and so we're back over here. That is the Holston Bank. which
That's
you can
that one,
see
yeah.
Right there. That is missing from Crutch Park.
So what was in that building?
All sorts of stuff. Drawn's Junior College.
Really?
W.C. Terry Real Estate Office, for those of you that we talked about W.C. Terry over in Maplehurst.
So that was Drawn's before Drawn's went to Fifth, right? Or what we call Hall of Fame today.
Yeah, yeah. And that, like I said, is the back of the bank.
And when was that building raised?
That building was raised around 1970.
Oh,
Yeah, and it was a parking lot till about early 1980s when Mr. Creech died and left the city a bunch of money to have.
Oh, so he owned the building.
No, he did not own the building.
He owned the property.
He did not own the property. He just left the city a lot of money to have a park.
was Clinch Park, Clinch Park, when the World Star came here?
World's Fair would have
Yeah,
been 82.
It would have been done, I don't know if he died in the early 80s, so I don't know how long the estate took, but it was a parking lot. This wasn't here. Okay.
So everything that's named after somebody at UT, we can say it all began with Mr. Crooch.
Okay, so the central building here, you can see, if you can kind of make out that it seems to be 3 sections, but that central section was built in 1855.
Wow. Amazing.
I'm sorry, 1885. Excuse me. Okay, I'm just doing pictures now because they're easier to deal with than.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh,
So
what
does
is
that
that?
look familiar to anybody?
Let me look through my phone.
Look through your phone.
That looks like down on the
See what you
100.
can
Is that the
see.
100 block of Gay? No.
Something Merrill said?
Well, I'm taking us back over here to
Over here?
to Gay Street, to the intersection of Gay Street and Clinch.
Really?
Yep, that is the Hattie House. And the Hattie House is where the Farragut Hotel is now.
Wow.
Yeah. So Hattie House was a fine Southern hotel that opened in 1880. It was replaced by
Wow.
the Imperial Hotel, which burned in 1916. It was replaced in 1894.
Which the Imperial is the mural on the side of the wall.
Okay.
That does look familiar.
Yes, by the pizza place.
New Haven?
Okay.
If you go out if you go in the pizza place and come out the side door, you can see that it covers the whole side of the building. What's her name?
Dazzle?
No, whatever the one right past the Farragut here is, can't think of the name of it, but the lady that has the art gallery on Emery Place,
Uh-huh.
where the
Oh,
Knox
Leventhal.
Files, help do the Knox
Oh,
Files
okay,
thing.
yeah.
What's her name?
Oriole Brooks?
Lily.
Lilienthal Gallery, but her daughter
Her and her daughter did
did
that
that.
mural.
Oh, that's interesting.
And it's like walking inside the lobby of the Imperial Hotel.
Jennifer, can we go over there?
I mean, if you want.
It's raining.
Make this work better.
Will you buy some pizza?
That looks like Sanford and Sons.
Okay. All right. This one, you all look for context clues. And
I
tell me where
know,
that's
that's where the
at.
main
That's-
rowing is.
Well, that's one side of the man rowing, right?
That building in the background looks fairly familiar.
Is that your office?
That's where your office is now, the back one.
One center, two center.
Yeah, this is now it's Fouche. So is that, there's a lot of French in this. Fouché. Fouché.
That's where this building is right now.
So that got torn down for this building.
It got torn down and then it was just a lawn for a while and then this building happened. So
Does
this,
that guy know he's parked on the wrong? He's parked on the wrong side of the road, right?
this is them tearing it down. This building was built in 1875 and it stood on Gay Street in my lifetime. When I was in high school, I remember it. And I tried to find the horses and the real estate agents, and so this is where some of the first real estate men who advertised themselves as real estate agents worked.
Yeah, the guy that built that, I think his name is John Fouché or Joseph Fouché. He was the first professional dentist in Knoxville. And one of his daughters married a real estate guy. I can't remember was it Brownlow?
Brownlow.
Oh.
And so that's why it has such big ties to real estate, because, they used
The Brownlows
their
were,
father-in-law's space for their offices.
and the Brownlows were some early real estate agents that were around a very long time. And we talk about when we get to Gay Street.
Is that who the school was named after in North
The
Knoxville?
family.
Hmm.
Okay. All right, let's see what we have next. More fuzzy maps.
Oh, what's that?
Okay, so take a look at that.
No, that's,
Does that,
Why?
here's a clue,
is that the one, MCA?
YWCA.
Oh.
That's what that says.
Yeah.
So this is now the parking lot.
Down the street.
Yeah, the parking lot. And I think there's, Rebecca is in Rotary. This is where Rotary was meeting. Yeah. Until it
It'd be a lot
was
more convenient for me if they still.
a parking lot, yeah. So that was the Cumberland Club, and the Cumberland Club was a men's club organized in 1883. And remember that Margaret asked, I'm gonna go back to the only map that seems to not be fuzzy. Remember this house?
Oh, the house that I want, that I don't even know what it looks
Yeah,
like.
it was a judge's house, George Brown, a judge, but it became the first YWCA. Yep, and so but before it became the first YWCA, it was the first Cumberland Club. So Cumberland Club starts here, moves over here, and this becomes the YWCA, and then it's torn down and replaced with the current building, which is built in 1925.
The current YWCA.
Yes,
So this starts as a private residence and then,
it's a residence, and then it is a Cumberland Club.
tell us more about the club. What's
It's
that
a man's
membership?
club. It's a man's club.
Oh,
And then,
shame.
yeah, that's
Like
weird.
your
And then in
dad.
1951, and then by 1951, it is replaced in the same location by the Cumberland Club. And it, there's a bunch of pictures on there, and it's like exactly what you would think.
Oh, I wanna see.
A men's club in the newspaper. I'll put them up on Facebook later.
She don't want them on
But
YouTube
it's
apparently.
a big social event. And then interestingly, for people that have been around a while, that club, they voted themselves closed in the late 70s. And then the Christopher Kendrick, which is a name a lot of us know, he was instrumental in forming an old city club, which was formed in 1983 and met in the Mechanics Bank and Trust building across the street.
Hmm.
Wow.
How long did it carry on?
I do not know. I don't think it carried on very
I feel
long.
like in the 90s probably. It wasn't very long.
How interesting that a gentleman's club would be across the street
They
from where
let
the.
women into the city club eventually, I think in the 70s. When is, I think fair housing for women, I think they got added in the 80s. So I guess they had to.
That's really.
Or not fair housing, but
That
civil
always
rights.
blows my mind how late that kind of stuff happens.
Civil rights.
Could you emphasize that with the broom?
Which thing? What am I emphasizing?
Being late and hit the thing.
Well, those maps were amazing. Sorry you guys aren't seeing them. But the other thing I had to say is that the Hostess National Bank building was built in 1913 and additional stories were added in 1928. The Burwell building on the other corner was completed in 1907. It's actually Knoxville's oldest skyscraper, and it was the tallest skyscraper until the Hostess National Bank building was completed. And in celebration, they hoisted Maud, which just makes me sad, hoisted Maud the mule with a crane up in the air.
No.
Yeah, to celebrate the completion of the Burwell building. And then a man named George Pauley, known as the Human Fly, climbed the 166-foot structure in less than 30 minutes in 1918. And of course, the building is named Burwell for the wife of C.B. Atkin. And we've talked about C.B. Atkin when we talk about Main Street and Oakwood and Fountain City. He's kind of a big deal all over the place. A hotel owner, Atkin Hotel, but he purchased the building in 1917.
The mule was not hurt in the hoisting of the mule, was it?
No, it talked about how the mule the mule lived on.
Okay, good.
And then,
No mules were injured
I
in
don't know
this.
if it wasn't hurt, but it
picture of that?
survived. There is a picture of
Unlike
that.
the,
Google Maud the Mule Burwell. It's something should come up.
unlike the elephant in Irving, Tennessee.
Oh,
So just for reference, the YMCA building was completed in 1929, and it's one of the oldest YMCA facilities. And the land for that was deeded by the McGee family, and you've seen just as a teaser, you've seen the Masonic Lodge there. That was the McGee family, and we'll talk about them when we talk about Locust Street.
is that Lawson McGee?
Yes.
Right.
Related.
Cool.
So the Masonic Lodge, which is behind the YMCA, right? That used to be a private residence?
Yes, it was.
Really?
We'll talk about that one on Locust Street.
The one that's now condos?
And no, they are still,
It's still a Masonic Lodge.
but then there's a parking lot and then there's.
Oh, that's right. You drive by it and you always try to park there, but then you don't because you.
Did you find Maud the Mule?
Oh
Yeah,
my
there's the
God,
picture.
there's Maud the Mule.
It looks circusy.
It's the shadow. I think they drew Maud in it.
Let me just do something. And
That's
see if I
not
can
right.
get
They drew
See
Maud.
pictures are cool. Jennifer, see if you can find the human fly
I got
photos.
super nervous just.
On my phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
With a service.
I do it.
On purpose.
It's like those events that you see.
I gotta put my glasses on.
It's historic, not historic.
Let's see. Oh my God, the cartoon is a Let me just take a picture of that. 'Cause I'll never forget it.
Maybe that's why my pictures are fuzzy, because it looks like I've lost my.
Oh my God, Jennifer, the cartoon's amazing. Of Moth and Mule. The Knoxville News Sentinel?
I don't know if it says what
There might be a guest one.
the research.
I don't know where.
To be continued next Sunday, that's the last.
Click not connected and see if there's like options if you.
I don't know what.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go to settings. Okay.
It is in mod.
Or you just, I think you put yourself in mod airplane mode and he.
I did?
Has the Tennessee
Yeah.
theater moved into the mechanics?
Well, you have to get out.
I don't think they've moved in yet. I don't
Is that still under construction?
Yeah,
It's in a.
they let some elected officials walk through the
Yeah,
construction
you put yourself
last
in.
week.
Airplane?
Yeah,
They let some others walk through, so it's not done yet.
Okay, let me get, I think I can make these pictures fit. I think I can get these pictures back. First, let's look at the human fly.
But I don't think you're connected to the internet still.
Oh my gosh, you guys have
So
to.
click on the little globe, and then click the arrow, not that, there.
Yeah, there you go, public, that one.
Oh, things are about to happen. It's gonna get real in here. Okay. I'm connected. We're gonna look at human fly. Human fly.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
I'm struggling.
I
Just go to the.
don't have the camera on your screen, so we're all good. I've got it on the East Tennessee Historical Society logo over there.
I'm looking for the right one, so I don't just get on a big tailspin.
I think it's right there.
That one?
Yeah.
No, that's not the one.
That's not the one.
It's
Oh, it's
CMC.
Very good. Oh,
Let me find the right one.
look at the font.
I think it's that. Which one is it?
That's the library. It's CM.
I'm gonna take a picture because I'm not looking.
It's right there, the digital collections. I think it's that one. Try that one.
That one, yeah.
Damn it, where is it?
Yeah, it says CM. It's hard to find.
He's on his head.
Just think what it was like when we had to search through a
Just be very.
card catalog.
Yeah, just pretend it's.
Pretend we're looking through a card catalog.
Ah, I found it. Look,
See?
human fly. Human fly is on the way. Human fly.
This is black and white.
Human fly. There he is, George. Human fly.
George has a nice haircut.
He's got a suit on.
It's pretty.
And he scaled the building in 30 minutes.
Uh-huh. Look at all those people
Those
that
are
are
not climbing shoes.
just going up in a vest.
And there's no ropes.
There's better ones.
He crazy.
Or you can like really see it.
Can you pull those maps up now, do you think?
I can.
That's a good one right there. This human-
And now everybody goes down the
Yeah,
buildings in
that's one.
Knoxville
That's one?
once a year for a fundraiser.
The rappelling?
Oh, yeah, they do go down for a fundraiser.
There he is. Ah! He's almost up.
How much did they pay him to do this?
Yeah, he went around the country doing this.
Did he?
all kinds of stuff.
Like that.
Set on
There's a career
flagpoles?
for some of them.
And there was like a ton of people watching it because at the same time this was happening, there was also a parade that was happening.
Wow.
Although you have to watch the parade.
Yeah, or like, how about the people walking down not fearing that this body could at any moment like slam
Yeah,
down?
I'm gonna go to the maps. Yes. What?
Miles and Mule,
Mild to mule.
frame of the building,
Yes.
it says it's the home of the Knoxville Bank and Trust.
Knoxville Bank.
It was the Burwell building.
Mm.
But it was, C.B. Adkin did not buy it until 1917. Right, so before that, it was a bank building.
that 10,000 people were watching it up there.
Okay, now we won't have fuzzy map. I don't know how I got into.
Not fuzzy.
I don't know how I got, like, just being on here, I don't have the first clue about how I got into airplane mode, but
It's magic.
it's magic. Okay, there's Second Presbyterian and the Old Cemetery.
Oh.
Old
yeah.
Cemetery, Second Presbyterian,
Mm.
Chapel.
Can you use your mouse as a pointer?
Oh, but the broom is so much more.
That mouse.
Old Cemetery,
We don't have a Prince Street anymore, do we?
that's Market.
Oh, it showed a picture of it.
All right, so then, this is 1890. There's the Vendome right there. There's Second Pres and the Vendome.
How is Vendome spelled?
Vendome.
I would have
And
spelled.
I think it's Vendome.
I would have spelled it. V-I-N. Oh well.
These are residences.
What's that one at the very top?
This one,
Yeah.
that is down on Locust. That's the Masonic Lodge. Vendome. This is what would be the YWCA. First the club,
Oh.
the Cumberland Club. All right. Okay, so here's Hattie House. Look at this big house. This is my big mystery. I gotta figure this out. I didn't have time.
Huh.
See, look at all that land and the luxury of it.
Hattie House. Here's where we're at. Here's the Customs House. This is the Plaza Block.
If you clicked on that house, would it say you clicked on one thing and it showed the picture? I don't guess it would show the picture.
It'd have to be an embed picture, wouldn't it?
No,
No.
no.
Here's ACUF.
Yeah.
And there's Vendome. This is
That's a
Vendome.
great name.
This is from the top of the Burwell building. There's
What's the
Customs
arch?
House.
Airplane.
That's the Customs House. That,
Flying in.
we're getting ready to talk about
No,
that.
we're on top of the Burwell building, taking that
I like to use my imagination.
I'm like, that's not no airplane.
It is.
Oh, like, even while suffering and sick, she's like, oh,
Which drugstore is that? Do you know, Jennifer?
I don't know. It would be on Gay Street. That's
Ah.
the Foosh building right there. That is the Customs House. That is what they call the McTownley block, which I'm going to show you something cool on the map.
Is that Fort Sanders in the background?
That's Fort Sanders. That is, I think that's the YMCA, or maybe the Cumberland Club back there. Don't know. Okay. And then here is, here's a picture of the Vendome. This building is still here. That's Walnut right there. And there's the ACUF building. And then you can see the bank back here.
Yep.
This is all a good reason why it's good. to
Here's the
document.
Plaza Block, Creech Plaza, Drons Junior College, W.C. Terry. This guy, what's he doing? Having a smoke.
Yeah, he's dealing drugs.
So that building didn't even.
Had a nice hat.
Yes, right, you said they built it in the.
1885,
1885 to 19.
70.
Like, what a waste of resources, you know, like, why couldn't they just leave it alone?
I don't know why they tore down.
Dude had a nice hat though.
Here's the Hattie House. That's the Farragut Hotel now,
You mean the 3-window thing?
This is
No,
Hattie
the big
House.
thing.
1880s.
But it's taller, right? I mean,
They had it.
The Imperial that burned, burned in 1916.
Looks like it.
1894 renovation
It's
of
on
the
fire
Hattie
now,
House.
right? In that picture?
It's what?
Oh, it's
You
being
know,
snapped.
They spraying the hose.
Yeah.
It's burning there.
Yeah.
Huh.
There's flames coming out of that.
Foosh building, sad.
There's flames coming out of that.
Brownlow Real Estate in there. We'll talk about them again on Gay Street.
So wait,
Fouché.
hold on, is that before you go, could we go back for a second, sorry, is that where Congress is right now?
Tombras is
Across the street.
across the street. That's Wallace is right there.
Yeah, that
Oh,
building
sorry, I got
is
it
this
wrong.
building.
We're sitting,
facing exact, so when you're
Yeah.
walking in to this building, that's where you're walking in.
you cross the yellow tape.
You're walking in the history center,
Yeah, you cross the yellow tape right there on the
you're
side.
walking in,
Yeah, that's
The yellow tape.
corner.
and this is the entrance block to the history center right here.
Oh,
Okay, here's more
What were
maps.
the years on it?
The Fouche building?
Yeah, that
The
was.
Fouche building came down in, Fouché, came down in 93.
93.
It came, yeah, I remember because Knox Heritage was like advocating for it. It came out, yeah, down in the
Wait,
90s.
So how old is this building?
Not
This
that
building,
old.
It was a lawn for a little while, so it was built, when was the
This
history
was
center?
built in the 2000s.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was just grass out there for a little while.
This is a totally new building that's like connected to the old building. So when you go into the museum, you're in the old part of the building. This
So,
is all new.
here's 1903 map, there's Vendome. I'm going back to the bird. Okay, there's Vendome. All right. This, can you see it says Cumberland Club? The house has become Cumberland Club. The Methodist Church just moved all the way down here to Locust. Right? This, here's Second Pres. This is where the two Methodist churches were. Here it is, Church Street Methodist now. And this has been renovated, this church has been renovated into an office building called the McTownley Building, or the McTownley Block. And it's like they've got these stores, it's like a block, they've got these stores out front and you enter and then it's got these courtyards. It's like, I read the description, this was in 1902, and it's bizarre. And apparently for a little while, the church was a livery stable before they renovated it.
So
And that's the bank building right there.
When did we change the French name?
From Market to Prince, it's
It's Prince.
Prince
in that
here,
case.
so this is 1903. And I've got, let me see what my next map is. By the 1917 map, it's Market.
Still Prince in
This
that
is
one?
Prince.
Still Prince, and this is still 1903.
Okay.
But you can see the post office, you can see that it's Imperial Hotel now. Hattie House has become Imperial Hotel. Here's the Cumberland Club, a better image. And you can see the YWCA building. These are 1917 and be the next one. Market.
Market.
Yeah, it's Market. So what we're looking at in this map is, this is the YWCA now at the house still, but now become the YWCA. There's the Cumberland Club, Methodist Church, McTownley Building. The Church Street Methodist Church has expanded, it seems.
So the Methodist church is there, is on a.
So the Cumberland Club's where the library is today, right?
No, the Cumberland Club is where the hotel, it's down the street,
The
there's a
Hilton.
hotel, parking lot there.
Yeah, okay.
And the Methodist church is on the corner of Locust and Clinch.
It's gone.
Right, isn't that where the YWCA is now?
No, this is the YWCA, it's on Walnut. This is a parking lot. And there's the Cumberland
I
Club.
think it's a
and
garage.
The Henley
Yeah.
Street, Miller's Henley Street is right here, it's a
Right.
garage.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
a
all,
garage.
this
Yeah.
whole thing is a garage.
Right, yeah.
So can you back up one?
Oh,
So-
yeah.
The South Broadway on the left, was that the
Hmm.
road that when you come, say down Broadway, L&N Depot is right on the corner?
So that's Henley?
L&N's up, way up there, cause there's Union. L&N's.
So that would, South
I'm
Broad,
looking at- But Henley and Broadway are the same
Right.
thing now, but I'm just, there used to be a road, that went down beside the L&N Depot.
That
Went and
was-
circled in behind the
Hmm.
Miller's, garage building and stuff.
You notice how it looks-
So this is all gone, alright, so the Masonic Lodge is there,
Right.
the
There's Kendrick Place.
YMCA is right there.
Oh, the.
That's,
This is
and that's
now,
Kendrick Place.
this is
Yeah.
all gone. All this
Right.
is gone, there's Kendrick Place, this all got taken out when they widened Henley Street
Wow.
and took in Broadway and Henley.
And see how Clinch,
I didn't know you all didn't know that.
is it just me or did Clinch actually go over Broadway? That's what it looks like on the map.
Clinch is still, yeah, I
It
mean,
looks like it goes over.
this is the viaduct, so this is World's Fair stuff now, you can still get under there, the Sun Sphere's like. somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, Henley's, this is now.
Oh,
all
Henley's on
gone.
there. Never mind. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
Clinch goes all the way through Fort Sanders.
Yes,
And all the way down through
Yep.
Coliseum.
yes,
With that bridge, the walkable.
and
Yeah,
that's
we
the
both have-
Masonic Lodge there.
Right.
But above it, so next to the Kendrick Place, is that the, where, the seafood restaurant?
Chesapeake's.
Chesapeake's? Is that the same building? Like, that's-
No.
No?
I don't know, it's in an old building, but I don't
Not
know
maybe
how
that
old
old,
that
yeah,
building
okay.
is.
This is, there's Vendome. Vendome came down in the late 1940s. This is the Young, but it was called the ACUF, I think, building. That's that building, I showed you a picture of from that corner.
Gosh, AI, we could just go in and say.
There's the
pretend
post
Vendome's
office.
there.
Here's the Foosh block. There's the bank. There's the Plaza block. There's Prior Brown.
Oh, bye.
Bye.
I saw where Jody got the sign.
Yeah, but I didn't get the window. I was trying to get the big orange cab window,
There's-
or dry cleaner's window.
First Pres for orientation.
Were there any manufacturing firms on these streets in town, or was that all out of town on the creek?
Campbell Tip was on State Street.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that, like, you've got the, like, if I go back to this Gay Street, so there's the commercial core, which, you know, there's the shopping district, which is Gay Street, really. Is that say, Gay and really Gay and Marquette. And
In
then,
other local laws, you have said there were like small I don't remember what they made, small metal parts or
Yeah,
what.
all
Were those on,
State
Gay
and
Street,
Central.
or was that off the beaten track?
So State and Central were more like warehousing and industrial, and over, where the World's Fair site is, over by the railroad, I mean, it really would have been near the railroad, which is,
Railroad and Creek.
and Creek,
Okay.
yeah, especially early on Creek.
Yeah, I think,
So north
Steve
and,
Atkins' dad's furniture mantle company was like over on State Street somewhere originally.
and then after the railroad became important, it's on the, you know, the railroad goes east-west, north-south, and
So then, when, when Goofon was down there, didn't they date back to the 1800s? Joe Goofon
was down where?
on the, well, pretty much that building, you got the L&M Depot, the L&M school building behind it. I think that was part of the Goofon, and they did a lot of the stuff with the railroad, transport, storage, swapping it from box cars and stuff like
Yes.
that. They did all that. There was one down here on, Jackson called Western Carload, right across the street where the public parking is, across the street from, the restaurant. What's it called?
Barney's? Not Barney's?
No, the one that used to be out on the river in South Knoxville, and they got the one there at Tazewell Pike and.
Oh, Sweet
Yeah,
Peas?
Sweet Peas, yeah, and that public parking lot, it was called Western Carload, and it was warehouses, but box cars could pull up, and they did a lot of transfer stuff on box cars, and
So
that's what Goofon
take the
did.
goods out of the box cars, put them in
Well,
warehouses?
they would move it, then put it on trucks to go places, or we used to, when I first started driving a truck loading freight, they made Ford F-150 bumpers in Newport, Tennessee. We would take box cars or, not boxcars, but, the ones you load, rail cars, like I said, the trucks, the trailer on the, low boy trailer. We would take them up there, they would fill them up, 40,000-pound bumpers going to Detroit and stuff, and just, we would haul 7-8 trailer loads a day out of there when that was going on during the summer, when they were getting ready.
And is Coupon the same one that's off, Woodpike?
Off Amherst, on Jackson Road, yeah, it's the same Dupont, but they used to be down there for years. And they same, that, I think that's part of the same building, then they had like a big warehouse thing that the box cars would be on one side, trucks on the other, unload and load back and forth, but they would swap stuff back and forth. Same as Western Carload did, but they did it for Southern Road down there. And we used to do the same thing there, we would bring trailer loads of bumpers, Newport did Sears, we would go out on Rutledge Pike and get those trailers, piggyback trailers, and take them to, a company called Burnco. They made humidifiers part of the year, dehumidifiers the rest of the year.
Oh.
And they'd stack them full of them things, dead on the floor, and we'd bring them down, and they actually on Rutledge Pike, they had a crane, they would pick them up and set them on those cars. But they did that type of stuff down there too. But that was what I was asking about the Broadway, when you had the Henley and Broadway. You know, back when the World's Fair was there and you had the seafood restaurant
Yeah,
on that, well, that road, that driveway, parking, whatever now, but back then, it went all the way through and come out on the other side of the Miller's parking garage on Henley. And that's where Tinsley Tire was down in there on the right. Went on up, that's if you had a delivery from Miller's, you went there because they had the tunnel goes underneath Henley to take it over. So that was, and they would have sales there, clearance type sales, but that was where you went with the truck for Miller's was on. But that was, I'm guessing that would have been South Broadway on that picture.
yeah, and if you
Is what that road was.
yeah, and
Went
then
right
if you,
beside the L&N Depot went down through there. And then also on the other side, when you cross the viaduct, I was trying to remember what that building was that was there, it's still there, I think, but you could go in behind it and there were houses and stuff down in there on the street, so I'm gonna guess that was part of South Broadway too.
yeah, I think like if you go on the Maplehurst tour, you can see where it's still sort of spit out on that, or
Well,
came out on
when you
that side.
got over, off of Henley over to where those houses were, it come out right where the L&N Hotel was, pretty much, and cross Western Avenue, or, you know, whatever it was it Western then?
Yeah, sure, Asylum, but then Western.
Okay.
Well, that's it, there's the schedule. So on the 20th, we're gonna go talk about West Church, which is the next street over.
You know where we're meeting yet?
Always on Gay.
Always on.
We'll meet on the corner of Gay and Church
Okay.
at 6.
When was,
That meeting